Hi, everybody. My name is Buffy Andrews, and I am the owner of the Madewell Center for Wholeness here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And today's alternative and holistic health course is really about foundational nutrition and mental health and just how nutrition overall can impact your health. So we're going to dive right on in, learning a lot about nutrition and the ways that it can impact your health overall. Let me move my face out of the way a little bit. Okay, so like I said, I own the Madewell Center for Wholeness, and I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a few resources of people that are going to be great tools for you when it comes to healing your gut, healing your nutrition, and just being well overall. So for gut health and nutrition specifically, we've got Carrie Sink. She is our functional gut health girl. We have for foundational health coaching, we have Madison. Now, foundational health coaching is a little bit more of like having someone just kind of as accountability, walking alongside you in learning some routines, some habits, some patterns, and things like that to kind of tweak and adjust to help you live well and feel whole. And then for functional mental health counseling and coaching, you have myself, Buffy Andrews. And now functional mental health means, yes, I'm going to take the lens of, the DSM and all those good things for mental health, but I'm also going to take a very functional, holistic approach and dive in with some of these things that Carrie and Madison might work with you on to see how those are impacting your mental health, your things like depression, anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. So just to give you guys a little background, wanted to share with you just kind of like what is the connection here between our gut and our brain. So our gut-brain connection is actually connected via a bi-directional communication highway, essentially, of the central nervous system and the enteric nervous system, which is your gut's nervous system, essentially. It links emotional and cognitive functions of the brain with peripheral, so those kind of like, on the side, intestinal functions. So basically, what we're looking at here is if we have good gut health, we are going to have good central nervous functioning. Now, having good gut health can come in a lot of ways. Like you can do a lot to heal your gut. And there's also a lot of causes as to why your gut may not be functioning super well. So we're going to kind of talk about that. But just to give a little bit more context around the mental health piece of it, and these are, resources and sources that I got. They're at the end of this slide. So when you get to the end, feel free to screenshot so you can go and look up those studies, those research papers, etc. But there have been a lot of mental health over the recent years, a lot of mental health disorders directly linked to gut dysfunction. Now there's some people out there who say that, like these are two separate things, but I'm here to tell you it is all connected, and we are living in feedback loops within our brain and our body. And so to think that it's not connected is really missing the mark. But here's just a few of the major mental health disorders that we see in today's world that are directly linked to our gut health. So we've got anxiety, we've got depressive disorders, schizophrenia, autism. So these are some of the major heavy hitters. And, you could kind of flip two sides of the same coin kind of thing where, there's some people that say, well, we have the highest amount of anxiety and depression that we've ever had. Is that because it is actually higher? Is that because we're more aware and people are reporting it more? We don't really know. But what we do know is that our food systems, our nutritional systems have gotten worse and worse and worse. Our ability to move has gotten worse and worse and worse. Our sedentary lifestyles have gotten worse. The processed foods that we ingest on a daily basis have gotten worse and increased. So it makes sense that we would see these increases of autism disorders, depressive disorders, personality disorders, etc. So what are some of the causes of gut-brain axis dysfunction? So there are a lot of causes that complicate the connection between the gut and the brain. And let me move my face again. And basically below are just a few of the heavy hitters. And these are kind of generic, but obviously this is just designed to be a short course for you to kind of get a little taste of it. But essentially things like our diet, our stress levels, the amount of antibiotics we take on a daily basis, and just whether or not we have increased inflammation overall. Basically, when you have these like heavy hitters present of poor diet, poor like heavy stress, heavy antibiotic usage, it increases your gut's permeability. So basically, like the way, your atoms and cells kind of flow in and out, right? So it's increasing that peripheral inflammation, which is basically then sending that inflammatory signal to your central nervous system. So poor diet, again, heavy processed foods, right? Stress is living in that super busy go, 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 go lifestyle all the time. Or maybe you have a high stress job where you have a lot of heavy deadlines, or maybe you work in like the service industry and you are an EMT or EMS worker or nurse or social worker or therapist or things like that. Antibiotics, like these are a big one. It's like when we have poor diet, poor stress or high stress, what do? We feel like we need to continue to keep up with the Joneses, so we take a lot of antibiotics, right? So it's all kind of connected. And then overall over here, we've got increased inflammation. And just to kind of give you guys like a little insight into this inflammation situation, I myself have experimented with doing, like elimination diets previously, where you basically cut out all these things that you think could be impacting you, things like gluten and dairy and sugar and, caffeine and all that kind of good stuff. And when I cut that out, right, I started noticing certain things within my own body that started going away. I noticed that my achy joints that were in my right arm started to subside. I noticed that my skin was clearing up. I noticed a lot of things like that. My gut was no longer bloated. And then when I reintroduced some of these foods, when I reintroduced sugar, for instance, I saw an increase of inflammation almost instantaneously, right? Not that it was more than it was before, but it helped me connect that, wow, like when I cut out sugar, I didn't have this heavy inflammation in my body, right? So these are just some things for you to kind of start to be aware of, to notice like, where is your diet? What are your stress levels? Do you take antibiotics on a very regular basis? If so, we've got to learn how to start to maybe do some homeopathic remedies to help with that. So this right here is just kind of like the flow of gut-brain axis dysfunction. So we've got inflammation of your GI tract, right? Which then again increases that gut permeability, which then releases what's called cytokines, which actually then send that signal up to your central nervous system and increases the permeability of your blood-brain barrier, which means things are going to come in and out. It's almost like you think of like poor boundaries, right? You think of like a rigid boundary is like, here's your wall and nothing is getting through, right? You've got super loose boundaries and you got this massive gap, everything can get through, right? And then we maybe have like our gut permeability where here's our wall and there's things that are starting to leak through on either side, right? When we have that, then we start to have that disruption of brain functionality, which causes those mental health disorders. So overall, how do we heal? How do we use nutrition and lifestyle to heal ourselves, right? So for one, it's adopting a whole foods diet. So we are supposed to be having an average of 6 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, every single day. And I don't know about you, but I don't always get that in, right? Like if you think about and you really tally up your day, right? I mean, goodness, today I have had, I would say I've had maybe 3 servings of fruits and vegetables. But that's like, I mean, at the time that I'm recording this, my day is over halfway done and I don't have a plan necessarily on how to incorporate those for dinner. So it's like, man, how do we get those things in? But that becomes like a really conscious effort that we have to make to include the 6 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables daily. Another whole food diet tip is to try to really eat those grass-fed organic meats. We need protein, and there's a lot of studies going around. Like, I'm all about you guys being vegan or vegetarian if it's like, something with like your morals and, animal decency and things like that. I totally understand that and get that. But like, we need a lot of protein, and most of us are under proteined throughout the day. Next point is to have that high protein diet of 80 to 150 grams of protein daily. I mean, that's kind of like a give or take. It really depends on like, are you working out really heavy? Are you trying to gain muscle? Are you just trying to be lean? Are you trying to just kind of stay where you're at? So that's, kind of take it with a grain of salt. The next one is mineralized water. So making sure that if you drink filtered water, you really want to re-mineralize your water. Because when we filter everything out, we no longer have the electrolytes of magnesium, potassium, sodium that we need in our water to keep us hydrated, right? So that's just like some simple things to start to change out for yourselves. The next would be vitamins and supplements, and really paying attention to this. Because like I said, like obviously we want to try to get all of our, minerals and vitamins from those servings of fruits and vegetables and organic meats. But if we're not eating all of that all day long and we're not really fueling ourselves, like we got to get it somewhere. So vitamins and supplements to think about that would be really beneficial for you is probiotics are a good one. Probiotics help build up that good gut bacteria, which we need in order to help fight off the bad stuff, right? The next would be omega-3s and fatty acids. So we have a very unbalanced ratio of omegas in this country. We have a lot of like omega-6s, which are like those like processed oils and fats, but we need a lot more of those omega-3s in order to help with that brain function, help protect our myelin sheath, all of that kind of good stuff. And then a couple others that I just see really routinely is there's a huge like zinc deficiency in many people. So if you could take or boost your zinc every day to help fight your depression, that would be wonderful. And then your B vitamins are actually a really crucial element for a lot of people who have ADHD. This is a great vitamin or supplement to consider taking, because if you have your B vitamins, you're going to have that energy that you need to stay focused and alert and ready for your day. But most of us, again, are deficient in these vitamins. Now B vitamins, I would not recommend just a B12 or just a B6. Like, try to get a complex vitamin or supplement that has, B1, B2, B3, B6, B12, B9, all that kind of good stuff. And then our third category, I would say overall, is to reduce inflammation. Now, the ways we can reduce that is cutting out some of those refined sugars, cutting out simple carbs, reducing our alcohol intake. Alcohol is a big one that I'm noticing right now, because we have so many people, it's just the norm to drink alcohol every single day, right? And like, no judgment here. I love a good glass of wine, just like the next gal, but when we drink alcohol or consume alcohol every single day, we are really increasing our toxic burden on our bodies, and our livers cannot keep up with that, especially if we're deficient in our whole foods and our vitamins and supplements, right? So if you are already not eating super well, and then you're going to pile on refined sugars or alcohol or things like that in general, like, you're setting your body up for failure when it comes to detoxing what it needs to detox. Along with reducing inflammation, I would say really try to become aware of your toxic products, like women, makeup, shampoo, hair care products, all those kinds of things. We put those on our body every single day. And so we've got to learn how to reduce that toxic burden load. A really good app that I love to use is the EWG Healthy Living app. They go through and they study and sample so many products that if you can go on there and type in the name of your product, it'll tell you what the level of toxicity is within that product. And so that can be a good way to see, like, am I just using like a ton of toxic products on myself every single day? And then the last one to reduce inflammation, obviously, is to just de-stress yourself. So working really hard to take off some of that burden, put some boundaries up, say no when you need to say no, and say yes when you need to say yes, right? With all of those things, I just think it's really good to know your baseline. Okay. Know your baseline. And I just put in this little quote here by Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, because I feel like it went a little bit with the protein and foods and things like that. But, you know, we think we're just this like super obese culture, which like we are, but it's not just because we're obese, it's because we're very under muscled, right? So she says, we're not over fat, we are under muscled. And, you know, when you start studying geriatrics and all that kind of good stuff, you learn that, wow, there's a lot to having muscle on your body so that your body can use that as energy, right? But in order to know how much protein you have or how much, you know, fat versus muscle you have to know your baselines for a lot of these different things. So one thing that I love that Carrie does at our office is the gut stool sample test. Now, this gut stool sample test is amazing because you can go to her, she can run this test on you, and then she'll be able to tell you specifically what types of toxins, good bacteria, bad bacteria, whether you have parasites, whether you have, you know, inflammation markers of certain different things. And she knows what she's talking about, and she can help you heal your gut so that you don't have to be dealing with some of these recurrent issues that you've got going on, right? Like you could take all the probiotics in the world, you could take, you know, eat all the right foods, but if you have a living parasite in you, or if you have some sort of really bad bacteria, you're actually really preventing your body from being able to actually absorb and utilize the nutrients and things like that that it needs to absorb. So going to someone like Carrie, getting that gut stool sample test, it will save you thousands of dollars. It seems expensive at first, but it's like one of those things like, just know what you're working with so that you can adequately, you know, shift and pivot and make the right decisions that you need to for yourself. Because even with things like probiotics, you don't want to just take a probiotic just willy-nilly off the shelf because they all do different things. Someone like Carrie can be a great resource to give you like a specific recommendation of a specific probiotic based on what your gut is doing, right? The next way to know your baseline is to track your macros. And macros are those proteins, fats, carbs, okay? So we cannot, again, pivot or make shifts or changes accurately if we don't know where we're starting to begin with. So if you don't build an awareness around like what, you know, level of proteins do I have? How many carbs am I eating in a day? How many sugars am I eating in a day? How many fats am I eating in a day? How do you ever make an adequate diet plan, right? To like shift and make the changes that you need to make. So I like to tell my clients, so first let's start with like a week of just tracking normally, like get on something like a MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, or there's a macro calculator you can look up online to kind of see like what you need in your day-to-day, but track those macros because again, you don't want to just start making changes without knowing where you're at. And then I would say, like, with knowing your baseline, just adding small changes, you know, begin slow and steady, adding in foods you know you need, and don't worry so much on focusing, you know, on removal of the things that you don't, because what happens is if you're intentionally focused towards adding in the things you know you need, like fiber or protein or fruit or, you know, vegetables or whatever, pretty soon your body is going to recognize like, oh, like I'm actually full, or I'm actually satisfied right now, and I'm not craving sugars, I'm not craving these sweets, or I'm not craving, you know, something that just is not actually providing any nutrition for yourself, right? So just add in those small changes over time, because that's going to be what creates that sustainability for you. I put these resources here. So again, Carrie for the gut stool sample test, a macro calculator, or like a MyFitnessPal to start tracking those macros. And then if you need to just work with a health coach who can just keep you honest, keep you accountable, maybe provide you some fitness plans or provide you some meal guides or recipe ideas or what have you, you can reach out to Madison at Madewell Center as well. And then here I wanted to put in just some easy button products for your health that I really love. So the reason I wanted to include these is because I feel like, again, you know, you think about things like eating 6 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables in a day, and like, whoa, that can feel overwhelming. And if you just aren't, you know, your lifestyle does not like provide opportunity for you to slow down and make that happen, then these can be some easy, you know, resources that you can add in to make sure you're getting that. So Juice Plus, and I'll show you those on the next slide. So we've got Juice Plus, which is basically just dehydrated down fruits and vegetables in a capsule. They also have omegas that are all plant-based. So if you're vegan, vegetarian, this could be a great option. Madewell Center membership, like with the Madewell Center membership, you get an essential oil sent to you every month. You get to come to things like workshops. You get to, for free. You get to come to one yoga flow a month for free. You get extra percentages off of supplements and extra percentages off retreats. So some of these things that you're trying to do for your gut and your nutrition, this might be a great way to do it. And then Trinot supplements are another one that I really love because they have really good protein powders, collagen, probiotic combos, enriched B complex vitamins, all kinds of stuff like that. So let me show you guys briefly, okay, here we go. Not .co. Okay, so it typed it in wrong. So when we go to Juice Plus, here's kind of what you're looking at. You can see that there's a fruit, veggie, berry, and omega blend that you could buy, so you can get all of it. And when you add these together, you're getting over 31 different servings of fruits and vegetables daily, which is like, what? I mean, even if you are the best person in the world at, making salads and smoothies, whatever, you're probably not getting that many. Then we've got our fruit and veggie blend, fruit, veggie, berry. You could do just the omegas, just the berry. You can kind of like pick and choose. They also have shakes, chewables, bars. So if you need a protein shake that's plant-based, like this is a great website. The Madewell Center membership, again, you can go on the Madewell Center store page. It'll take you here. Click on Madewell membership. You can sign up that way. Or, well, of course. Okay. Or we've got here the Trinot supplements. So again, they've got everything from collagen powder, digestive enzymes, probiotic optimizers. They have a CBD bundle. They have all kinds of stuff. Relieve CBD. So this is another good one just to look into. And you can put those on subscription if you need. So that's kind of all the, resources for that. And then again, I would just say overall contact us, like Madewell Center tries really hard to be a very holistic, well-rounded, holistic mindset wellness center, right? And so again, Carrie Sink is our good gut health girl. If you want to know those specifics, those toxins, those bacterias, reach out to her, Carrie@madewellcenter.org. Or you can just email us info@madewellcenter.org. If you're interested in working with me more one-on-one or doing some coaching, you can actually reach out to my other personal page, hello.wellness.buff@gmail.com or wellnessbuff.org. And then, overall, we have health coaches, we have mental health coaches, but the main thing I want you to take away from today is just the fact that your gut has everything to do with your mind. And it has everything to do with the way your mental health functions. And when we don't heal our gut, we increase our probability of that blood-brain barrier, breakage or permeability. And so you can do a lot of these easy things like adding in a whole foods diet, taking in some vitamins and supplements, all to boost and increase your probability of healing. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was informative. If you have more questions, again, feel free to reach out. We appreciate it and happy healing.